Hello and welcome to Prepspot. In this video we are going to know about a concept that is fundamental to the very existence of nations and the safety of their citizens: defense. It's a multifaceted term, far broader than just military might, encompassing a nation's strategic efforts to safeguard its assets, ensure survival, maintain sovereignty, and protect its people against a constantly evolving array of threats. It is, unequivocally, a primary responsibility of any state. The word defense itself, or defense as it's spelled in British English, holds roots deep in Latin. It originates from defensa, meaning a defending against, which in turn comes from defender, meaning to ward off, protect, defend, guard. This etymology immediately tells us its core meaning: resisting an attack or threat. While the term defense can apply to psychological strategies for coping with reality, personal self-defense, or even tactics in sports to prevent an opponent from scoring, our focus today is primarily on national defense. When we talk about national defense or national security, we are addressing a concept far broader than just the military. It encompasses the security and defense of a sovereign state, its citizens, its economy, and its institutions. This includes protection not only against military attacks, but also against terrorism, cyber attacks, economic espionage, and other non-military threats. From a strategic studies perspective, defense is one vital component of a state's comprehensive security strategy, which also includes diplomacy, intelligence, economic statecraft, and even offensive capabilities. It fundamentally involves the careful allocation of resources, personnel, budget, and technology to counter perceived threats. The overarching goal is to cultivate a secure environment where a nation can prosper without the constant fear of attack or coercion. This requires both the actual capability to resist aggression and the credibility of that capability to deter potential adversaries. Let's embark on a journey through the historical origins and evolution of defense. In ancient times, defense was largely about physical barriers. We saw early fortifications like the walls of Jericho and the Great Wall of China, designed to protect settlements and vital resources. Organized militias and armies, such as the Roman legions and Spartan hoplites, emerged for territorial defense and expansion. Maritime powers like the Athenian navy developed for coastal protection and safeguarding trade routes. The medieval period brought advancements in castle-building technology, though defense was often decentralized through feudal systems where lords protected their lands. We also saw the evolution of cavalry and infantry tactics on the battlefield. The early modern era, marked by the gunpowder revolution in the 14th and 15th centuries, fundamentally reshaped defense. The introduction of cannons and firearms made traditional fortifications less effective, leading to new designs like star forts. This period also saw the rise of nation-states establishing permanent, professional armies and European powers building vast navies to protect colonial interests and trade. The 19th century witnessed the rise of mass conscription during the Napoleonic Wars and the profound impact of the Industrial Revolution, which brought mass production of weapons, railways for rapid troop movement, and steam-powered warships. Military theorists like Karl von Clausewitz, author of On War, began to codify principles of strategy and warfare. The 20th century, especially through the World Wars and the Cold War, saw defense truly globalize and technologize. Mechanized warfare with tanks, airplanes, and submarines revolutionized battlefields. Air power and strategic bombing extended defense to protecting against aerial attacks, leading to the development of sophisticated air defense systems. The advent of nuclear weapons in 1945 during the Cold War fundamentally altered defense strategy, introducing concepts like mutually assured destruction, MAD, where defense also meant preventing nuclear war itself. Intelligence agencies became crucial for early warning, and collective security alliances like NATO, formed in 1949, became cornerstones of defense policy. In the late 20th and early 21st centuries, the post-Cold War and digital age introduced new complexities. Defense strategies had to adapt to asymmetric warfare and the rise of non-state actors like terrorist organizations. The revolution in military affairs, RMA, emphasized precision-guided munitions, network-centric warfare, and information dominance. Cyber warfare emerged as a new domain of conflict, demanding robust cyber defense capabilities, and space became increasingly militarized, necessitating space defense for assets used in reconnaissance, communication, and navigation. Let's delve into some key concepts and terminologies in defense. Deterrence is a cornerstone, persuading a potential adversary not to take hostile action by demonstrating that the costs of such action would far outweigh any benefits. This can take the form of deterrence by punishment, threatening severe retaliation, or deterrence by denial, convincing an adversary they cannot achieve their objectives. The security dilemma highlights a paradox. Actions taken by one state to increase its own security can be perceived as threatening by others, leading to an arms race and heightened tensions for all. Collective defense, exemplified by NATO's Article 5, is where an attack on one member is considered an attack on all, prompting a collective response. Collective security, a broader concept, involves states committing to the idea that the security of one is the concern of all, agreeing to collective responses to threats, often through international bodies like the UN. Civil defense is also crucial. The organization and training of civilians to deal with emergencies, enemy attacks, or natural disasters, involving early warning systems, shelters, and evacuation plans. The offense-defense balance theorizes that the relative ease of attacking versus defending can influence the likelihood of war. If defense has the advantage, states generally feel more secure. In the laws of armed conflict, principles like military necessity, proportionality, harm not excessive to military advantage, and distinguishing between combatants, civilians, and military-civilian targets, guide ethical conduct during warfare. Finally, sovereignty is the inherent right of a state to defend itself within its territory, and the military-industrial complex, a term coined by President Eisenhower, refers to the strong relationship between the military and defense industry, which can sometimes influence public policy. Moving to the types and dimensions of defense, we see a layered approach to national security. National defense serves as the overarching framework, integrating all other defense dimensions. Within this, military defense is the use of armed forces, breaking down into land defense, army operations; naval defense, maritime operations, protecting sea lanes; air defense, protecting airspace, intercepting aerial threats; space defense, protecting space assets, countering space-based threats; cyber defense, protecting digital infrastructure and information systems. Beyond the military, defense extends to civil defense, protecting civilians from attacks and disasters; economic defense, safeguarding the economy from threats like economic warfare, sanctions, and supply chain disruptions; psychological defense, information warfare, countering propaganda and disinformation to protect national morale; environmental security, addressing how environmental degradation can pose national security threats; critical infrastructure protection, defending essential systems like power grids and communication networks. The instruments of national defense are the tools a state employs to implement its defense policy, often categorized by frameworks like DIMFIL, diplomatic, information, military, economic, financial, intelligence, law enforcement. These include military forces as the primary deterrent and repelling force; intelligence services for early warning and informed decision-making; diplomacy, specifically defense diplomacy, for achieving security objectives through dialogue and alliance management; A robust defense industry to ensure self-reliance in weaponry and technology. Strong economic strength to fund defense spending and technological innovation. Commitment to technological superiority through R&D. Comprehensive legal frameworks governing defense and warfare. The civil population and resilience to support defense efforts. And crucial alliances and partnerships with other nations. Now, let's look at the global defense landscape with some recent figures. Global defense spending reached approximately $2.46 trillion in 2024, a 7.4% real terms growth from 2023. This spending is projected to grow significantly to $6.38 trillion by 2035. As a proportion of global GDP, defense spending increased from 1.80% in 2023 to 1.94% in 2024. The United States remains the largest spender, with approximately $997 billion in 2024, accounting for about 36.7% of the global total. China holds the second spot with consistent budget growth, while Russia saw a significant increase of 41.9% in real terms between 2023 and 2024, reaching $145.9 billion. Germany became the fourth largest global defense budget in 2024, showing a notable 23.2% real growth. India consistently ranks among the top spenders, with a defense budget of 6,81,210 crore rupees for 2025-26. Current trends show increased spending in Europe, largely driven by the war in Ukraine, with European defense spending surging by 11.7% in 2024. Modernization efforts continue in the Asia-Pacific, fueled by China's military growth, with a strong focus on advanced equipment procurement and R&D. Major international alliances like NATO, AUKUS, and the Quad, Quadrilateral Security Dialogue between the US, Japan, Australia, and India, underscore the importance of collective defense and strategic partnerships. Despite these efforts, nations face significant contemporary challenges in defense. Cyber warfare poses a constant threat to critical infrastructure, involving espionage and disinformation campaigns. Hybrid warfare combines conventional military tactics with non-military means like cyber attacks, information warfare, and economic pressure, often below the threshold of overt war. Terrorism from transnational and domestic organizations demands specialized counter-terrorism efforts and intelligence. The proliferation of weapons of mass destruction, WMDs, remains a critical concern. Renewed great power competition among nations like the US, China, and Russia is driving arms buildups. Advanced military technologies present both opportunities and challenges, including artificial intelligence, AI, and autonomous systems, hypersonic missiles that are difficult to intercept, space warfare, and directed energy weapons. Climate change is increasingly recognized as a threat multiplier, exacerbating instability and resource scarcity that may require defense responses. Information warfare and disinformation seek to manipulate public opinion and destabilize adversaries. And finally, ensuring supply chain security for critical defense components is paramount. Ethical and legal aspects of defense are continuously debated. Just war theory provides ethical guidelines for warfare, divided into jus ad bellum, justice of going to war, covering legitimate authority, just cause, etc., and jus in bello, justice in war, covering conduct during war like distinction and proportionality. International humanitarian law, IHL, also known as the Laws of Armed Conflict, LOC, derived from the Geneva and Hague Conventions, aims to limit the effects of armed conflict by protecting non-combatants and restricting means and methods of warfare. The right of self-defense is an inherent right of states under international law. Ethical dilemmas also arise concerning civilian casualties, collateral damage, the arms trade and proliferation, and the development of autonomous weapons systems, AWS, which raise questions about human control over lethal force. Applying these principles can be complex, especially in modern conflicts involving non-state actors. Let's consider the merits and demerits, or, more accurately, the functions and costs risks of defense. The merits or primary functions include ensuring national survival and sovereignty, protecting citizens from external threats, deterring aggression, maintaining regional and international stability, protecting national economic interests and trade routes, supporting diplomacy by providing leverage, and even aiding in disaster relief and humanitarian aid. Defense-related R&D can also lead to technological advancements with civilian applications. However, the demerits, costs, and risks are significant. High defense spending creates an economic burden, diverting resources from vital sectors like education and healthcare. It can fuel arms races, increasing tensions and the risk of conflict, and there's always a risk of escalation due to miscalculations. Warfare inevitably leads to civilian casualties and human suffering, and increased security measures can sometimes erode civil liberties and privacy. Military activities also cause environmental damage. There are moral and ethical dilemmas, concerns about the undue influence of the military-industrial complex, and proliferation risks of advanced weaponry. Finally, let's touch upon common critiques of defense policies. These often revolve around arguments of excessive spending, suggesting budgets are bloated and inefficient, prioritizing military solutions over diplomatic ones. There are debates about whether a nation's defense posture is truly defensive or perceived as offensive, potentially provoking instability. Interventionism, or military involvement in other countries' affairs, often draws criticism. Concerns about lack of transparency in defense procurement and strategic decision-making are also common. Some argue that traditional military structures are ineffective against modern threats like cyber warfare and terrorism without significant adaptation. The humanitarian impact of military actions is a frequent point of critique. There's also a concern about over-reliance on technology, neglecting the human element of strategic thinking. Specifically for India, critiques highlight falling defense expenditure as a percentage of GDP, a high share of pensions in the defense budget, continued reliance on imports for equipment, delays in indigenous development, and shortfalls in budget allocation compared to military needs. In conclusion, defense is an indispensable aspect of statehood, continuously evolving in response to changing threats, technologies, and geopolitical landscapes. It is a multidimensional concept, extending far beyond purely military means to encompass economic, cyber, civil, and informational aspects. While absolutely essential for protecting national security and sovereignty, defense policies and expenditures are always subject to ongoing debate regarding their effectiveness, cost, ethical implications, and impact on international stability. As of 2025, nations face a complex array of challenges, from renewed great power competition and sophisticated technological threats to hybrid warfare and terrorism, all necessitating adaptive, comprehensive, and strategically sound defense postures. The pursuit of defense must always be balanced with robust efforts towards diplomacy, arms control, and the peaceful resolution of conflicts. Answer this question in comments. The correct answer will be given hot and pinned. Lastly, we just want to let you know that we are a newly emerging online platform for competitive exams. Creating educational explainer videos like these requires a lot of effort, money, and time. If you like these videos and want us to excel and create videos in all categories of competitive exams, then you can consider supporting us with a one-time donation through the CoFE platform and also by becoming a member through Patreon. This will help us create more such informative educational videos in the competitive exams space. So, one last time, subscribe and share this channel with all your friends who are preparing for competitive exams. And also, follow us on social media platforms. The links are given in the About section of the channel and also in the video description. So, see you in the next video.